And this is part 2 of our conversation with singer-songwriter Brian Owens.
But if God wants me to have a Grammy because of the platform that it can provide for the work, there is nothing on earth that can stop that from happening.
Right.
But if he don't want me to have a Grammy because he knows my heart and he knows it'll puff me up, there's nothing on earth that's gonna happen that's gonna give me a Grammy.
Exactly. And talk about that, moving in and out of your faith as it relates to your life and how that's affected and influenced. Because one of the things you talked about was a business venture that you got into that didn't go very well, right? And it was about it being about you. So tell me about what you've experienced in your adulthood about as far as it relates to you and music and you and your life moving in and out of your faith and getting closer to God and stepping away and making your own decisions and things like that. What have you felt and what have you learned about besides the obvious, right? Besides the obvious, through those experiences, what have those experiences been like? Because you get it and you're firm and you're sound in your faith, and then you fade and you fade and you fade, and and everybody fades differently, but you fade and you fade and you fade and you start to rely more on this, right, than your faith, and then that's when those stumbles start to happen. So talk, more specifically, tell me about correction.
I've learned to value correction.
Yeah.
And rebuke.
Yeah.
And it happens every day in my life, and God uses it. Even today, Chris is sitting over in the corner. Y'all can't see Chris, but Chris sitting over in the corner, and we're having a conversation about my brothers.
Yeah.
And my family life.
Yeah.
And my relationship with them. God is using Chris to rebuke me.
Yeah.
For how I, but being open to that stuff. Cause see,
there it is.
When all the stuff went down with that tour, I had two main investors, my dad and my father-in-law. Now I had to go to my father-in-law and not only ask for help, but to apologize and repent for my arrogance and my pride.
Yeah.
The conversation that shifted it for me was a conversation I had with my dad, who invested more than anybody, and asked me to come to lunch because I sounded down on the phone, and was basically like, I'm not concerned about the money, I'm concerned about you.
Yeah.
And just basically, said what I said earlier, this idea of like, it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. God has a purpose and a plan for the platform that he's given you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's that you're just not doing it the right way. When I look back, I can say I wasn't respecting the platform that he had given me. I wasn't honoring the platform that he had given me, and I was taking it as it was mine.
Yeah.
But
I created it, right?
Yeah, like I created it, and what I'm finding is that, man, there's a verse in Hebrew, I think it's Hebrews chapter 12, where it says the Lord chastens those whom he loves. I'm glad for the chastening and the rebuke that I got during that time period, because here's what's funny. Here's what happened. When I repented of that, when I turned away from that pride and that fear, and I said, whatever you want me to do, whatever you want, that's what I want. My career didn't go like this,
right?
But it started doing this.
Right.
It started doing this. Steady.
Because you got to make sure you're right? We can't give you
and,
this.
Yeah, and here's what's funny, man. The same year this happens, right? So this all happened in, between October and December of 2010. January 2011, we're living in my friend's basement. February 2011, I was in the Air National Guard band. They were up for deployment. I already knew they were up for deployment. I was not in the rock group, so I said, I'm good, I don't need to go. That February, I'm in financial troubles. So I go in, I say, do y'all still need a singer? A male singer? And they were like, yeah. I was like, I'll do it. I was like, I gotta talk to my wife, but I'll do it. Now, I'd already missed 2 deployments. When I was active duty, I missed the deployment because I got out. The first time that band deployed from the Air National Guard band, I wasn't in the group, so I didn't have to go. Of all the times for me to deploy, I deploy with this group.
Yeah.
That same group is a group that ended up being on Ellen DeGeneres and Fox and Friends and Entertainment Tonight because of a video that blew up. Here's what's funny though. Now I'm in financial straits. I'm trying to build a career. I'm not even the one that benefited from that. And I was sitting in Afghanistan with the female singer, Angie, who ended up being on The Voice and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I remember the first interview we did that was all about her, and I was literally angry in my heart, going, "Why? This is so not fair."
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
Why is this happening for her and not me? And dude, God started just whooping my heart, man. He's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about you. Maybe what the world needs is not another singer or musician, but maybe what they need is a pastor. And maybe what I need for you to do right now is not focus on being out front because of what you think your talent is, but to use a platform for me. Funny thing, man, we sat there, we talked that night after that first interview. And I was like, she was like, well, this would be great for both of us. I was like, Angie, this is for you. This isn't for me. God's trying to teach me through this. And I'm not going to get nothing out of this, Angie. This like what you get, that's not for me in this. From that point on, though, in every interview, I was the spokesman. You see, it's just interesting how God would shift. And here's why that's interesting. Because in 2011, I had no idea what was going to happen in Ferguson in 2014.
Right.
You never know how God is providing a platform for your development for situations that you haven't come to yet, but that He knows is going to happen. And all of these different platforms add up to where He has me in the work He has me doing today. And that's what's so crazy about it, bro.
Yeah, you literally do not understand that you're going through preparation, like you're being prepared until you get to that point and you look back.
Right.
And you're like, shoot, man, that's crazy. That's why I went through all of that.
Exactly.
So that I could be right here at this moment, ready to take action and do the things that I need to do and do them right.
I mean, all the stuff that I have to do now with the nonprofit, budgets, proposals, all that kind of stuff, you know where I learned how to do that stuff?
Where's
in
that?
that failed tour.
Yeah.
That's where I learned how to do that stuff.
Right.
How to not to sign a bad contract, how to read stuff. You know where I learned that? That bad tour.
Right.
Better budgeting practices for my family. Tour.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a ton of stuff that God is still showing me that I'm still learning. But I think the openness to learn it and to receive it is ultimately the thing. Look, if you're a person that cannot accept rebuke,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that spiritual criticism, right?
I mean, because everybody needs it.
Yeah.
You need it.
Yeah.
And usually it's going to come from a place and a source that you don't think it should come from. You know what I'm saying?
Which is a test on top of a test.
Right.
Yeah.
And, but what I find is that, like, we're talking earlier about this idea of process and knowing how you yourself process things. And that's what God has really shown me too is how I process and moving me to different levels of maturity in how I process.
Yeah.
So that I process things quicker, with better understanding, and with more humility. And, you know, there are things about my personality, like I'm a talker, I'm a visionary, I'm a like move out, let's do this kind of thing. But just showing me like other people that I need in my life and like being comfortable with the stuff that I'm not good at, because we think that we have to be good at everything, man. I'm like, dude, no, like I want to get better at business. That ain't my thing.
But better is the right word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's not my
given
thing.
your tools and your expertise and your talents. Right?
Yeah,
better is the right word, right? Not an expert.
Right.
Yeah.
And discernment, having the, you know, asking God for discernment and wisdom so you can know, okay, this is the person I need over here, or send me. Like the management that I have right now, man. God send me my management. God send me my booking. God send me my publicist. In the time that it would be needed.
Right.
Instead of me going out and trying to look for it. And every time we did that, it was a disaster.
Yeah. Because you weren't ready and able to recognize it.
Yeah. Right. And the people wasn't ready. Like nothing was in place.
Yeah.
But you're trying to get, and I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned too, man, in terms of correction is like, you know, with me is like, stop trying to get things and acquire people in order to get things in place.
Right.
Just wait for things to be in place. So I'm not going to get a publicist so that I can drum up what I need a publicist to do. That's a waste of money.
Right.
But what if I just wait till I actually have something and go, oh, we should get a publicist for this.
Yeah. It's like me. I got a personal assistant, right? And I think everybody in business at a certain point in their time goes through the same experience. I got a personal assistant, right? In the first 3 weeks, boom, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I got this for you. 4th week, 5th week.
What you gonna do?
But guess what I'm still doing? Paying you. and I wasn't, and like you said, just wait, because there is going to be a time where that tide comes in and you're like, whoa, now I need that assistant.
Yes.
Now I need that publicist. Now I
Yes.
need, yeah. But it's putting in that groundwork and being patient and just working every day.
Well, then this is what every mentor needs a mentor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, every disciple needs someone to disciple them. Like, you need people in your life who can speak into it and go, who you can say, I'm considering doing this. And they go, okay, consider this,
right.
this, and this before you do that.
Right. Yep.
You know, and that you actually listen to them.
Right.
Like the crazy thing about me is that what most people who know me know is that I reason through argument.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So when you tell me something, the way that I'm reasoning, which is I'll get better with this as I get older. The way that I figure it out is through argument.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to
Counterpoint.
I'm going to counterpoint your point because I'm reasoning through. And man, like, usually I get done, I'm like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I do that most with my father.
And he's probably patient,
He's
right?
patient. And he's like, oh, just consider this. I'm like, and the whole time I'm like, that's how I want to be.
Right.
I want to be like that. I want to be like that, man.
That's why I talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I talk to you so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that, man, like, I think for me, like, just the overall, when I look at my overall life and career and my faith, I think I see it as the latter or the prior being encapsulated in the latter. So it's like, it's not like I got my faith and then my career and then my marriage and then all that kind of stuff. It's like I have my faith and then everything has to fit in that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everything has to fit within that context.
Yeah.
And when I look at my career and it's like, if it don't fit, I gotta let it go. So I'm completely open to the fact that one day, you know, I may go through a season of life where touring is not an option because I have teenagers.
Yeah.
And them being, you know,
Teenagers
and me helping, you know, being available
Yeah.
is more important than me chasing after something
Yep.
that it would be me chasing after.
Yep.
Because God's already told me, I gave you a house. I'm providing a living. You can go out on the road and you're going to forsake your children in the name of providing for them.
Yeah.
When what they really need is your presence.
Right.
So just stuff like that, just things like that, man, that when you're young, you don't necessarily think about it unless you have people in your life.
Mentors, right?
Who can say, okay, you're 21 years old, you want to do music. Have you considered this, this, and this? Okay, let's explore these options. Let's look at this. Let's find out what opportunities exist. Okay, do you want a family one day? Okay, here's something you may want to consider if you do.
Right.
Because ultimately, it's about the living of a successful life, not being successful.
Right. Exactly.
Which can be two completely different things.
Which you think are two completely different things, right? Especially when you're 21 years old.
I want to be successful. Well, but that, like, being successful in, you have to, you know, explain your terms. Being successful in a world, in a sense of, you know, what the world thinks is successful, monetary, you know, even
people standing on the outside of it, looking at you.
Yeah, you got a
telling
good-looking
you you're
wife.
Successful.
You know, you got a good-looking wife, and I mean, how many times have we seen people who look successful and they explode, or they commit suicide, or their family's jacked up?
Right.
No, whereas, you know, you can just want to live. I just want to live a successful life.
Exactly. And that can look so many different ways. Like I was saying in the beginning, that's why I wanted to have you here, is because success can look so different. All across, it's a spectrum, right? Success is really a spectrum, and I think one of the things that you've mastered or working on mastering is
I ain't
success.
got it.
Right. What success looks like for you, what a successful life is for you. And I think if people took that idea, just that idea of building a successful life, then they'll achieve it, right? They'll achieve that success that's meant for them, right? That's out there for them. And you know, you talked about your faith being right there when you put your hand up, and you said faith being right there in the center. I referred to this before in a previous interview, the doorman principle. It's an incredible book written by a guy named Rick Sapio.
Okay.
And what he talks about is creating your value system, right? And that driving every single decision that you make in your personal life, in your business life, in relationships, all of that stuff, is that the cool thing is that you already have a manual, right? Is that you already have a manual that gives you all of those values, that gives you that value system, and now you filter everything through that value system. And it's not wavering. It's not wavering. You just filter through the value system and see what comes out on the other side. And that's what that doorman principle, what he says is, you know, you got a doorman standing at the front door, and people and opportunities and all these things are coming up, and the doorman is looking at his list and saying, I'm checking off all these things. But you don't check off these two. Sorry, you can't come in. You know what I mean? Or another opportunity comes up, and you check all these things off, and it fits right into your value system, and the doorman says, come on in. You know, a person comes into your life and you go through that value system and you check, you check off everything in my value system, come on in. And I think that's such an incredible thing to develop, you know, and that's one of the things that God gives us is this manual, right? With all of these lessons for us to study, but this system, this value system that's created in order for us to filter life through. You know, you filter life through it, and what comes out on the other end is the result that you take. Yeah,
that's 1 Corinthians 10:4, man. Taking every thought captive, and making it submit.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what that is.
Like saying, okay, I can't necessarily control everything that comes into my mind.
Exactly.
But I can control my response to it.
Exactly.
I can control whether or not you get to stay.
And in between that is the filter.
Yes.
Yeah. In between that.
One of my favorite authors and speakers is a guy named Crawford Loritz. Now, the quote that I'm about to quote was in the context of marriage, but I think it applies to life. And it's this idea of, like, you know, for me, it's like everything that I do has to tell the truth about who God is.
Yeah.
Everything that I do has to tell the truth about who God is.
Mm-hmm.
So if something comes in my life and it will undermine that, it ain't worth it.
That truth.
Like some people, you want a record deal? I don't know. Is it gonna help me tell the truth about God?
Let me check and see. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just like these things that, you know, people present as being absolutes, and it's like, well, no.
Well, let me ask you this question: has anybody ever said to you, if you made this type of music,
absolutely,
then you would?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had an attorney tell me, it's had to be like maybe 8 years ago. No, it was longer than that. Almost 10 years ago, I had an attorney tell me, I could get you a record deal right now if you sing this kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sensual R&B, you know, some stuff. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's a part of me that's like, oh yeah, this is it.
Right.
And see, everybody have these kind of like, this is it moments in their life where it's like, okay, this is it. Especially in arts and music and stuff. It's like,
so funny that
this
that's
is
not
it.
The way it happened.
This is it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the moment. No, man, I'm over the this is it moments. I don't want the this is it moments.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's too many strings attached to the this is it moments. I would rather look at something that's doing like this. And most people who have built anything that is sustainable have built it like this.
Exactly.
People who build stuff like this.
There's a cliff on the other side of that.
Yeah. At some point, you're going to run out of fuel.
You hit that peak way too fast.
Yeah.
You hit that peak way too fast.
From here, you come down here.
Right.
If you're going like this, you may stop.
Right.
But at least you ain't going backwards.
Right.
You know,
and at least you ain't falling off the other side. Yeah.
You know, so, man, I think, you know, overall, it's just like having a life purpose that exceeds your passion, I think is essential to living a healthy life and discovering what it's all about for what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you live a life that's driven by your passion, I think it's dangerous. It's dangerous because then what if people get in the way of your passion? What if my wife got in the way of my passion, but my passion was the main thing? My purpose is inclusive of everything that God has entrusted to me. So if my passion can't get with the purpose, it's gotta go.
It's gotta change.
I can change my passions,
Right.
but my God-given purpose is my God-given purpose. I can't get away from that. And the more I try to run away from that, the more issues and problems I'm gonna have.
Right. Right.
So what I'm trying to learn to do every day of my life is just submit. Just be like, all right. So you want, okay, I don't know how they're gonna do that. If God say buy a building, I'm like, I know nothing about that. Starting our profit, I know nothing about that. But if that's what he's saying do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because you feel that every piece is taking you farther away from what you perceive to be your ultimate goal, when the truth is the point of this is not my goal, it's his purpose. And when I learn that, I have to continue to remind myself that the goal of this life is not your goals, your aspirations, your dreams. It's God's purpose.
The conversation with Brian Owens has been great so far. Be on the lookout for the third and final portion of our interview. Thanks for watching Blackballed from Success.